Hey, before we get into the episode, I just want to tell you about my free astrology newsletter called the Starzologer. It comes out every Sunday. It's of a lot of interest for astrologers. I explore cosmic currents moving through the ever-changing skies. Most weeks I explore what's coming up in the week and also share some astrology sticky bits and throw in some ideas about buzzing around. You also get stretched with my Extend Yourself sections. So this newsletter is for aspiring astrologers or anyone who's trying to up their astrological knowledge. It's totally free and you can sign up at starzology.com/newsletter. Now let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Arwynne O'Neill, and I am here today again with my friend Katia.
Hello. Thanks for having me again, Arwynne.
Yeah, definitely. So this time we are going to be talking about Mars in Leo. And the reason we're going to be talking about this, we're going to be doing ingresses of the big planets because there's going to be a lot of changing of signs in the next year. But Mars actually changes signs every couple of months. And the reason that it's interesting this time, and we're going to just kind of continue talking about Mars in future episodes, but the reason that it's really interesting right now is because as opposed to the general 2-month kind of average, Mars is actually going to be in Leo from November 3rd all the way until June 17th, 2025, which is an insane amount of time. It's going to retrograde back into Cancer for 2.5 months in the middle there. But it's really a long sojourn in Leo. So it's worth talking about. And also Leo is a great sign. It's an exciting placement for Mars. And so we're going to be talking about that.
Can I ask why it's so long? Does that vary?
Yeah, because of the retrograde. It's basically, it's going into Leo on the 3rd of November. And then it's going to turn retrograde on December 6th. And it's going to go backwards, or appear to go, from our perspective on Earth. Obviously, planets don't really move backwards, but it's from our perspective because Mars is so close to the Earth that the reason that, when the orbit's kind of if you looked at a diagram of the actual solar system, you would see why, from our perspective on Earth, when the other planets are going around the sun, why sometimes it seems that they're going backwards. It's because their orbit is kind of overlapping with ours and blah, blah, blah.
Because it's like a 3D, 4D thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's going to be going backwards then in Leo until February 23rd, and then it's going to station back forward, and it'll be in Cancer for a while. I can put the actual dates in the show notes. And then it's going to move back into Leo and then stay there until June 17th. So
amazing.
It's a long time.
Yeah, that's super dynamic. And what can we expect with this? What are some things?
Yeah. So Mars, well, actually, really quickly, Mars is one of those planets. So if you're a Virgo, for example, and you'll have Mercury either in Leo, Virgo, or Libra, it's only able to be one sign away because if you think about where Mercury is, it's incredibly close to the sun. So from our perspective on Earth, you'll never see Mercury be more than a little bit away from the center of the sun, as a planet. And Venus is only ever going to be 2 signs away at most, but Mars could be in any sign. So if you're a Virgo, you could have Mars in any sign. That's just an interesting little tidbit about Mars. So it is a planet of desire. It's a planet of action, activity, aggression. Alison Price likes to say it's what gets you off the couch. And it also plays a significant role in relationships along with Venus. So Mars describes your preferred style with which you go after what you want in your relationships, in your career, the type of exercise you like to do, and anything that requires action or initiative is ruled by your Mars placement.
Was that part of that warrior, that kind of more masculine?
Yeah, because Venus is the feminine and Mars is the masculine for sure. And these are archetypes. It's not about male, female, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, for example, Mars in Aries is the sign that it rules, along with Scorpio. So then it's the quintessentially independent, competitive, bold, sort of fiery placement. And then in Cancer, it's kind of hindered, which is where it was all summer. And it's more, since Cancer is ruled by the moon, it's kind of a watery sign. And Mars in Cancer tends to be highly emotional, maybe even passive aggressive. And it can take a lot more to get the Mars in Cancer person fired up or moving. They may struggle with motivation, assertion, or positive action. And they might only be moved when their emotions are highly engaged for good or bad.
So it's not that they're emotionally unavailable as much as they have a different way of expressing that because of these tendencies that they have.
Yeah, exactly. And so and also, I mean, it's about your how naturally activity comes to you. In Mars and Leo, it is very naturally, it's a natural placement for it because it is so fiery.
So super confident, charismatic. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very dramatic, like, because Leo is the sign of acting and drama, and it has a special place in my heart because that's where my partner has Leo, Mars and Leo. We've actually done an entire episode about his Mars and Leo because it's in the 10th house, and we did an episode where I interviewed him about what that was like in his life. He's been a musician in bands. He's been
super athletic,
exactly,
and still is. That's the crazy part. Is, like, I feel like he just like can't seem to lose that drive, and he's a natural leader, I could see how he's Mars and Leo personified.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because there's some of the keywords, and this is so my partner. It's like dramatic, confident, expressive, potentially egotistical, possessive, competitive, so competitive. And this is either like the drama king or queen kind of placement as well. They often have the drive to create or perform. They have a high tolerance for risk. And they are very idealistic, very loyal. Their anger erupts when they feel that their pride has been damaged or that they're not being respected. And they can be very self-righteous and egotistical, but they always act with their heart. So they make really good leaders because they have a natural empathy for others despite their ego. They know what it is to be respected and to need respect. So they will naturally bestow that on other people. And the only time when they will not extend respect to you is when you don't respect them, and it's clear that you are not worthy of what they would consider just a natural extension of that human right to be respected and that pride in both senses of the word, the pride of lions and the proud nature. So yeah, they've got a really good sense of right and wrong. They're passionate, and they pursue their love object or love interest in a very sort of magnetic, authoritative way.
Does that mean share as much as you're willing to? But I'm just going to ask a couple spicy questions.
Sure. Okay. I'm ready.
So, like, just based on what I know about Roger and what I now know about Mars and Leo. Feel free to share in as much or as little detail as you want, but like, how passionate and affectionate is he? Like, is he doing these grand gestures? Like, how romantic is he? Or like, like, cause I can see him being like pretty dramatic and theatrical about it too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there's
the
time.
Are you blushing? I can see it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's the time that he took me to New York, and it was something that he knew that I had wanted to do ever since I was like, I think 13, that I started thinking about wanting to go to New York, and I never had. And even when I lived on the East Coast, and when he surprised me with tickets to New York, it was right before my birthday. We went out to dinner at this wonderful fancy restaurant in Vancouver, and he handed me an envelope. And then he took out his phone, and I thought he was taking a picture, but he was actually taking a video of me like discovering, and it was dark in the restaurant. So I had to like really kind of like focus on the ticket and read it. And then when I got to the very bottom of it, and it said like destination New York. And I was like, and I of course like start crying, So yeah, there's stuff like that for sure.
Oh
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely romantic. Definitely loves surprises. Loves to.
Yeah.
It's about appreciation and sort of they want their partner to be special and pampered and feel loved and all that stuff.
And how do they feel loved?
I mean,
or
definitely,
like how would Roger feel?
Like
loved?
definitely feeling like appreciated and like he's a wonderful cook, and so like anytime he makes dinner for me, it's amazing. I always appreciate that. Sometimes
we always appreciate. We smell that sometimes.
Oh my God, hilarious!
And like, I don't know. I try to. I think I've got a pretty good nose. So if there's any perfumery that's looking for a nose, mine is available. But no, like it always smells incredible, and I try to.
They live right above us, by the way. This is not something super weird.
Well, it's just sometimes you guys cook pretty late, and so like it's a little bit more obvious because like obviously during lunchtime or something, you kind of get like melts
mix
together.
Of smells,
Can't tell.
We don't really eat lunch anyway.
And that too.
Yeah.
Another thing we have in common. But whenever I assume it's him, usually knowing you, I was like, it smells amazing. Is it this, and that? And I'm like pretty specific about it.
Hilarious.
And more often than not, I'm correct. But almost every single time, and I shouldn't even say almost, every single time, he always offers to drop us off a dish. Aww. And it's just like the cutest thing. And you probably don't even see that because like sometimes I just
you
like
guys are just texting each other. That's so cute. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really nice. But I was like, no, I'm still vegetarian and I still don't eat steak. But, it smells incredible. And yes, thank you for the offer.
That's so sweet.
I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, okay, so this is an interesting, because also there is a flip side to that, and the not appreciating that natural performative, because being a chef or cooking even at home, especially the way a Mars and Leo person does it, is a performative thing, and if that isn't appreciated, I mean, there were several years of our relationship where he did not cook at all, and it was partly that whole thing of the timing, and if it got too late, like I had to go to work, back in the day in an office. So there was not an option for me to be eating at midnight. Yeah. I had to go to bed. And if it was like, if dinner didn't arrive, by like, let's say 9:30,
didn't arrive,
10 o'clock, whatever, I'm going to bed.
As opposed to if I cook.
So I would just go to bed. I'd be like, I'll eat it tomorrow. And then he just stopped cooking for a long time in our relationship.
So you quit your job.
I quit my job.
You're like, I miss you.
Focus on the important things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a lot of, we've been together 26 years. So there's been a lot of different stages we went through.
What?
But it's funny when you look.
Since you were born?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
They are cradle robbers, those Mars and Leo.
You didn't hear it from us. But okay, so you were going to say that's...
Right, so it's about that appreciation too. And this is, not in our relationship, but in other relationships with someone with Mars and Leo, if they're kept happy, they can be among the most loyal partners you can possibly imagine, and the most appreciative and the most affectionate and loving, and make you feel like like you're the center of the world. But if you do not reciprocate that or appreciate it, they will not hesitate to look elsewhere because their ego is such that, I mean, they're not going to put up with like that.
How is time for them? Like, do they feel like, and not to keep talking about Roger in particular, but for people with these with Mars and Leo, would they think like life is too short, YOLO, or they even actually have FOMO as well at the same time, where it's like I don't want to waste my time. I want something. Yeah.
It really depends on a different like a lot of different elements that would go into your chart. But one thing I would definitely say about Mars and Leo is that Leo is a fixed sign. So it's not that cardinal energy of Aries where that would definitely be the FOMO thing where like they're just going out and initiating things all the time. And it's not the the mutable thing where they just kind of wait for things to happen and then they roll with the punches. Like that's what I have. And I have like a lot of planets in Virgo, but I also have Mars in Taurus, which is very stubborn and kind of like, I don't change unless I'm forced to sometimes. And that's, not really a great thing necessarily, but Mars and Leo, it's a fixed energy. They'll change gradually. And they definitely like, it's an energetic and a forceful sort of performative placement for Mars, but it's not initiating change as much as it is sort of percolating on the need for change. So they can do the same thing for a long time. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this thing happened and now we're doing something else. And they'll put their energy towards that. But it's a little bit less about that initiative than it is about a steady focus on whatever it is that they like. Like in Roger's case, hockey or music, and
Mhm.
and like putting energy towards something that you love. He's playing hockey twice today, for example. Like he's got one game in Burnaby, which is like a suburb of Vancouver, in case you're unaware, and then he's going to come home, take a nap, literally, and then go out and play again. It's pouring rain. It's a disgusting day, and he's like, hockey was stopped for a couple of months, so it's like he's just making the most of that, and he will do that until he literally is so old that he's out there with a walker on the ice. Like I can't even imagine.
Well, I'm pretty sure he had staples in his stomach and he was still trying to go play.
That is true. Yeah, he took a couple months off, but then was literally back at it like the minute he could. Yeah, and also like playing music. He practices literally every day for like a few minutes a day or for hours, and it's just whatever you're passionate about, you make the time, and that is.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's
effort.
not just passion. Like it's obvious that he's really passionate. Like if we ever need anything narrated, I'm like, hey, Roger. But there's also a lot of enthusiasm. Is that something that is for everyone with Mars and Leo, or is this a Roger thing?
I mean, I think it's definitely a thing with Mars and Leo. Like there's that it's like a fiery enthusiasm and an engagement, right?
Yeah.
And like because they're talking about something,
like lie about,
fake, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's not, interested in everything. Like, there's definitely, there are topics where I'll be like, hey, and like if he's bored of something or just not interested in something, it's actually pretty obvious and actually kind of hilarious. And I'm like, honey, can we talk about? Can I watch this? And if I literally leave,
sounds like you're talking about something very specific, and as soon as you tell me, I'm gonna need to send a quick text.
Hilarious.
Be like, hey, it smelled delicious last night, but also
so we've got like a YouTube account. We don't have cable, right? So he'll watch like just hours and hours of hockey stuff or like hockey highlights or like dudes talking about hockey. Like and I mean, I don't hate it, but it is not like my choice of what I would watch the minute he leaves the room or leaves for some, whatever. I'll switch and, watch some other thing. And he will literally wait like 5 seconds if I go in the other room to change the channel. Like he will not put up with being bored by something that is not interesting to him at all. And he's like, you can just put it on again when you come back, babe. Like, okay. Yeah. So there's that, which is not a problem.
So he's fiercely loyal to his favorite things, but also obviously he cares. Or I shouldn't say he, because like we're talking about they. But like those who respect them and speak their language and match that kind of energy, or are compatible with that energy. It sounds like it will defend to the very end,
totally,
with great intensity, specifically
for sure. And that's why they make such great leaders and bosses too, because they do have that universal sense of everyone deserves to be appreciated. Everyone deserves their, respect. But of course there is that regal leonine quality where it's like, all the animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. I think that was George Orwell who said that. But yeah, the sun king, when he shines his rays on you, it's impossible to not feel warmed by that attention.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like you've said, like it's hard to fake that level of enthusiasm, that warmth, that warmth. Yeah. But what I really like is that it seems like these kinds of people are they actually thrive in competitive situations.
Oh my God, totally.
Like someone like me,
and me.
sometimes can like really shut down. I'm lost for words. I can talk for hours, but in certain situations, I lose all of that. But I do see it, and I can imagine it being that people like that enjoy challenges, and it actually helps them shine in that moment.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's a really beautiful quality to have.
It is, yeah. And it's something I can't relate to either. Yeah. Like, I am not competitive unless it's like literally like trivia.
Yeah.
Super competitive with trivia. But that's because I have a broad range of knowledge. And,
you do. Absolutely.
And not deep in any particular topic. Yes, certain topics, obviously. But yeah, like I have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of different topics. And
definitely.
And yeah, I'm not competitive with like sports or anything like that. If someone wants to race, I'm like, you go ahead.
No, yeah.
You go first, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care. No. I never played team sports as a kid. I would I'll keep score if you want.
Yeah.
I'll stand on the sidelines and keep score. Someone
Like you
needs
want to
to
be
do that.
involved, but yeah. I see what you mean.
I mean, honestly, I would have rather been at the library that period in school, but yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are fairly compatible, but this specific type of person, they're confident, they're creative, they're obviously super passionate, they're dramatic in a great way, but all these things have dark sides, right? Competitive, loyal, generous, and such. But obviously, if you
don't respect them, they can just take their energies elsewhere, and they can be egotistical and they can be pedantic sometimes because it is a fixed energy that lecturing kind of like bombastic ego-driven thing where they if you're not on their radar, it's like you don't exist, whatever. And I'm gonna quote my favorite Stephen Arroyo. He has an excellent book.
I knew it.
I
was like, Stephen Arroyo is Stephen Arroyo.
Saint Stephen, is he?
Yes.
Yeah. So in his book Person to Person Astrology, he says that Mars in Leo has a fondness for living life to the fullest, and it delights in participating in group events, social rituals, and robust physical activities of all kinds. They have a big personality and a dramatic flair and a friendly nature, a knack for telling stories and jokes, and an instinct for entertaining and encouraging others. They are often found in sales professions, and they have a unique capacity to vitalize organizational efforts, but they like to be in control. And he also goes on to say that their overall tendencies, especially in relationships, are dramatic self-assertion, warm expressiveness, and abundant vitality and creative flair. They need to assert themselves dynamically and creatively, but they may be seen as pushy or domineering, and their physical and sexual energies are stimulated by attention and the demonstrative generosity. They need to be complimented and appreciated, and they can be very physical and creative and all of those things.
Have fun, enjoy.
Right? Sounds fun. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
you live with this person.
Yeah.
It just sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Like so long as you keep feeding into what he needs, which is not much, really.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. But you remind me that someone like Roger, Mars and Leo, they're really fabulous teachers.
Yeah.
I wish my program had more teachers like this person.
Yeah.
Because they're imagine having somebody who's so animated and so passionate about a subject.
Yeah.
It makes you that much more involved as a student,
totally,
right?
Totally. It's funny, when I think back to my favorite teachers, one of my favorite teachers was actually, weirdly enough, my algebra teacher in high school. And funnily, algebra is one of those topics where I have never used it ever a day in my life since high school, but I still remember with absolute fondness how wonderful this teacher was. He was just very dynamic and fun and friendly, and he had fiery red hair, so maybe he did have some placements in either Aries or Leo, and he was just like a bundle of energy, and he would really keep your attention. So I remember
I hope these people enjoy the teaching aspect, right?
Totally,
it sounds like he does, because they have a hard time faking that part, right?
Right, exactly. And there were some teachers who did seem to fake it. I mean, they clearly didn't like kids, or at least teenagers, and who does really? Teenagers they can be awful, but but we had some teachers who they were great in their subject, and just clearly did not have a lot of patience or energy to deal with the more, the more social aspect of teaching, which I mean, I went to a small private school, I should say also, where the teachers, we called them by their first names, and that was kind of so that's, it was pretty obvious when they didn't
chair backwards and are like, I'm a cool team.
Some of them, we had a circular,
a cigarette.
Circular classroom, no cigarettes. Although we did have a smoking tree, and some of the teachers did go out and smoke with the students. So it was.
I assume it was a bit later.
It was a different time.
Okay.
It was a different time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Hilarious.
But I feel really happy for people who are that and are in a teaching position or in a leading position, because it's such a great fit.
Yeah.
So you hope that they enjoy it, but they're also just so good at it, right?
Totally.
And I hope that if you've got Mars and Leo, that you consider something about teaching or something
and
in
using
regard.
that enthusiasm and that passion that you have to inspire others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure.
yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Well, we have some celebrity examples.
Well, I was just going to ask.
I mean,
yeah.
And this is we'll cover however you feel about these people. There is definitely a range of representation here. So Beyonce is one.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Clear.
Duh.
Yeah, right? Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both have Mars in Leo. It's a very leadership oriented, and we've actually talked about this when we did our sort of presidential candidate episodes, that the Mars in Leo is the most represented Mars of all the US presidents. Like, it's statistically way above average. Like, there's not an even distribution at all. It is vastly like skewed that there's way more Mars in Leo people in the presidency.
I'm suddenly more nervous.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You know, because I don't know what to expect, because, you know, like you think you want things to go in a certain direction, but do you? I don't know. You know, like,
that's another
question.
And
we're Canadian.
We're Canadian. We don't have a dog in the race, or however they say that at all. But yet we totally do, because we're like attached at the longest, you know, peacetime border, or whatever they say. And
but please don't come for us. This is not a political
although we do have some political episodes that we're talking about the election.
Okay, maybe come for us then.
But
I don't know. But like, with respect and love, because this is meant to create a conversation.
Absolutely.
We all love each other, and we 100%. Just want. No, we don't have to, but
we want what's best for the world, really.
There you go.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
And we don't actually know what the best. Honestly, I don't know what the best would be.
Peace.
Yeah, peace. There's no option for that, though. Sadly, there's no. I mean, you know, that's. We've talked about that, but in this in the podcast, we've talked about how there's just no way to vote for peace. Unfortunately, the U.S. is very much embroiled in the war machine. But anyhow,
So celebrities.
So both of those presidential candidates. George Clooney also.
Hey. Okay.
Hello.
Wait, how about his better half? Do you know?
Gosh,
but
let's look it up.
I guess she would have come up, obviously. But I'm curious. Okay, who else?
It went by fame. So the list that I looked up went by most famous. So she's probably just not quite famous enough. But okay, so moving on, we will come back to Amal Clooney and let you know very shortly. But Hillary Clinton also, interestingly, Paul McCartney, Serena Williams, and that you see that ego thing, right? Where she's incredibly good at what she does, but when she has been crossed and her ego has been bruised, she just, you know, that's where that lashing out, that damaged ego, that thing happens, right?
So about Amal Clooney, so she's got Mars in Cancer.
That is interesting. Yeah, she does.
Yeah, okay.
It looks that way.
Yeah, so cool. I guess, you know, this is a great compatible.
Yeah, I mean, it's
some way.
Clearly they are together, and we're not actually looking at their charts, but yeah, that is an interesting one, because they've been together for a while. They're super competitive. I mean, not competitive, sorry, compatible, but like not in the same realms at all. And hilariously, actually, I think it was a few Golden Globes ago, maybe even 10 years ago, when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were doing and they were talking about all of her accomplishments and how, like, she's this human rights lawyer. But today, because, you know, we're celebrating her husband, and he was like, you know, shrug emoji. That was one of my favorite little call outs from the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
So good. Every once in a while, I just go on YouTube and watch those intros that they did. There's like compilations of all Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's wonderful moments. And oh, God, they're so good.
Anyway. They're so good. And fun fact, this is only applicable to me and my birthday, but they were the very first female comedians that I was like, these are my favorite people. And I grew up with SNL, and they just happened to be at that time, at the same time as my childhood, as they were there. They really popped off after SNL. And they had all these movies, and they had this one movie that came out on my birthday. And I thought that was meant to be. I was like, that duo is out there to, like, make me feel special. And I don't know, I just saw it as a sign from the universe that these female comedians who are just so strong and beautiful and wonderful and created Mean Girls, you know, like,
oh my God, so good.
So I was really happy about that. But enough about me. Who else?
Okay, so also Michael Jordan,
Okay.
Cher.
Oh.
We're just like big energy, big,
Yeah.
The
hair.
Yeah, big hair, big headdresses, big crowns of rays of light. Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
I did it my way. And Colin Farrell. And what I love about that is that I'm watching Penguin right now on Disney, or no, Crave, HBO, whatever.
Okay.
And oh my God, Colin Farrell is so amazing in Penguin. This, if you're not watching it, oh my God, it is so bizarre to watch it and go, this is Colin Farrell under all that makeup and accent and acting. Obviously, Penguin being the villain from the Batman franchise, he is so unbelievably good. And it's just ridiculous. Like, we're a few episodes in now, and it's so good. I highly recommend it if you are into that kind of thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not expect this.
No.
I just looked him up, and he does not look like Colin Farrell at all.
No, and in still pictures don't even do it justice. The performance is incredible.
How?
Just the physicality, the accent, everything. It's just like, what? You can't even, like, there's not even glimmers where you go, that's Colin Farrell under that. It's just like, what? Oh. Every once in a while you have to remind yourself and go, that's crazy. It's just, wow.
Oh, totally. Well, isn't that the same? Maybe not the same, but similar. It made me think of Tom Cruise in
Tropic Thunder.
That's it. Yeah. I was like, Pineapple Express? No, Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But like, even that, I mean, you kind of just go, whoa, that he's really going for it. But with Colin Farrell, it's like you can't even see him under all of that. There's not even a glimmer where you go, even around the eyes, like, no, you can't even see it.
And that's a costume? Or did he gain 200 pounds?
Oh, no, it's costume, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How is that possible?
I know, it's insane.
To, like, have such, like, micro gestures.
I mean, maybe he gained a little... I will honestly need to look that up and read more to find, because,
incredible.
Clearly he will win some awards for it. It's like, it's so good.
So that's Mars and Leo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Mars
amazing.
and Leo. There you go.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that is Mars and Leo, everybody.
Yeah. These are the traits that make Mars and Leo a vibrant and dynamic placement.
Indeed. I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for joining me, Katia.
Thank you so much for having me again, Arwynne.
And we will see you next time. If you found value in this episode, please feel free to share it. You can follow us and listen to each episode, download and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. You can ask us questions. You can go to Starzology/newsletter to to subscribe to the newsletter. You can follow me at mspink.net. That's mspink.net. And you can send us questions. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will see you next time.
Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the two main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer or someone who's learning astrology or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there, or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.